Hi, today is a beautiful day, and of course, it's a day that the Lord has made, so we're going to rejoice even in the hard times, but be mindful of that. These are the last days, and they're not going to be easy. So I guess this is what we should expect. And, it's spiritual warfare. Like in Ephesians chapter 6, it talks about, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And that is exactly what we're seeing. And there is a spirit of darkness out there that we need to really war against and defend ourselves against. So today I wanted to talk about how to pray in these times. These are very, very difficult times, and prayer is such an important part of spiritual warfare. So in the 2 Timothy 4:4-5, it says, for the time is coming when people will not endure sound doctrine, but having itching ears, they will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own passions, and will turn away from listening to the truth and wander off into myths. But as for you, always be sober-minded, endure suffering, do the work of an evangelist, and fulfill your ministry. So Timothy's making a point here about how it would be. And he said to be sober-minded during this time, because that's an important way to combat what we're dealing with. And it does affect our prayers. And that would be 1 Peter 4:7. It says, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. You see, that's what he was saying. If you're going to be living in the last days, you need to be sober-minded. And that's difficult to do, but if you're not, your prayers will be affected. And in this case, he's talking about be serious about your prayers. So we need to be very serious about our prayers. But another form of being sober-minded is that we need to have the ability to have sound judgment, and we need to have our minds clear and not full of anxiety, full of depression, and all of these sorts of things. So in order to be sober-minded and to pray effectively and seriously, we're going to need to have some self-control. So and that means that we need to get our minds on correct and say, no, I'm not going to allow the enemy to affect my prayer time. I'm going to get on my knees. I'm going to pray. I'm going to go in another room. I'm going to clear my head. I'm going to do what I need to do to have a sober mind so that I can pray seriously in these last days. It's not easy to pray like that. With all of these things going on, it's very difficult to not be anxious or depressed or angry or anything else. And so that's why we need to really focus on that. And the remedy, I'm going to give you a remedy, which, this is what's worked for me so far. So it says in Psalms 100 verse 4, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give him thanks and bless his name. That's one way that we can try to enter into prayer, is by entering in with thanksgiving. And, there's so much, even in these hard times, we can find something to be thankful for, even if it seems out of reach. So, and then not just that, but if you have to purposely go into a room, separate yourselves from the noise, from the commotion of everything. Separate yourselves, make your mind clear, and if you have to, get down next to your bed and pray. That'll help too, because then you're focused. And I don't know about you, but if I pray right before I go to sleep and I lay in bed and pray, I'll fall asleep. So, I have to, in order to pray without falling asleep, I have to actually get down next to the bed. But it works. So, in Psalms, and another way that you can do this is something that a pastor taught me years ago, and I've always been thankful for this, and I have used it. You ever been in that place where you just can't think of what to pray? Your mind is so frazzled, and you're not feeling well, and so this has helped me. And you can go to any Bible verses that you want, but he specifically directed me to Psalms. And I'm, an example of that would be Psalms 101, verse 2 through 4. And I'm gonna kind of give you an example of that. It says, I will ponder the way that is blameless. Oh, when will you come to me? And then you can start praying, Lord, I need your help. I need your strength. I need you, Father. And then you can go to the next one. I will not set before my eyes anything that is worthless. And you can say, Lord, I pray that you keep me separated from sin, Father, and keep my eyes clean and keep them on you. And so sometimes we can do things like that help us. Because, if sometimes you can just get so frazzled, right? You can get so depressed, so anxious, you don't even know how to pray. And that's helped me quite a bit by doing that. And, another thing too about prayer is a lot of us don't realize this, but they've done a lot of research on prayer, and they have found actually that it decreases anxiety and depression. And, it helps us to function better. It gives us a sense of connection, and it gives us too a sense of control. I mean, in a world that we feel we have no control, this is our control. This is our control. And, at the times when our family, they're sick or they're dying or something is going on, or in the world, right? All this stuff, we can at least pray. We can do that. And that is a battle in the spirit. So don't feel like, praying isn't important, because it is. It is making a difference. And, years ago, we had a situation where a friend of ours was in a really horrible vehicle accident, and the doctors were telling his wife to unplug him. That's what they said. They said, unplug him. He's going to die. There's no point in it. That, his brain isn't functioning and so forth. And we went all the way to that hospital on the weekend. We would drive a couple hours away to pray over him. And he recovered. He recovered. So believe that prayer works, because it does. It really does. And, pray for other people. Intercessory prayer is so important. Right now, we could be praying for a lot of families that have lost loved ones, or people that are sick. We all know people. Go online. You can go on YouTube and watch videos, and people will pray over, some of these. And I actually pray over a lot of comments that I see. And, we don't need to necessarily tell people, but we can pray, for people in the comments, and we can pray for people that we don't know. So prayer is what we need right now. It's the one thing that the enemy, he cannot defeat prayer. He cannot. And the Lord loves it when we pray. It's like, what did they say? It's like incense to the Lord. That's what it is. It's incense, and he loves it. So I think that, right now the world could use a lot more prayer, and it's an area where I struggle too, but I'm trying to get better about it. I love the word, and I do pray to the Lord throughout the day. And sometimes I do struggle with prayer. So if you're like me, I hope it helps you. And it was a joy spending time with you. And God bless you.